Joel was brutally attacked last month after heading to the park for what he believed was a party organized by local teenagers to mark the end of term. However, the gathering had actually been planned by the group of teens themselves, who were determined to teach Joel a lesson after his release from prison and his return to the square. As viewers may remember, Joel was sent to prison after assaulting his stepmother, Vicky Fowler. He had also slept with Avani Nandrahat and secretly recorded the encounter without her permission before later sharing the footage online. Avani found it difficult to cope with Joel being back in Walford after his release. Amy Mitchell felt similarly and was the one who asked Joel to come to the park, where their friends restrained him, poured beer over him, and filmed the humiliating ordeal. Things then took a much darker turn when Joel was struck with a hammer and left fighting for his life. Police subsequently launched an investigation, while all of the teenagers involved continued to deny having anything to do with the assault. DC Craig, who is overseeing the case, chose not to use the video as evidence after Jack Branning and Joel both urged him not to. Meanwhile, Amy tried to find out more from Craig about who the police suspected, but he refused to give her any information. Next week, Amy, Avani, Denzel Danes, Nugget, Lily, Ricky, Will Mitchell, and Barney gather together to talk about what happened to Joel. Their private meeting is soon disrupted when Craig turns up and immediately becomes suspicious. The teenagers quickly come up with excuses before disappearing, but Craig remains behind and starts questioning Amy. Jack notices the secretive discussion and steps in. Craig insists that he was simply checking whether Amy was doing okay. Elsewhere, Ricky opens up to Lily about his concerns over the events surrounding Joel. However, their conversation is cut short once again when Jean Slater unexpectedly discovers the pair together. Jean becomes increasingly anxious that Lily may have played a role in the attack on Joel. She therefore confides in Kat, but the situation takes another dramatic turn when Eve Panasa Unwin says she has just seen Lily entering number 43 to visit Joel. Jean immediately heads to the house, determined to bring Lily back home. Craig also arrives and begins questioning Lily about what she knows. With Jean encouraging her to speak honestly, Lily eventually tells the detective what she witnessed. But what exactly did Lily see? And could her revelation put both herself and the other teenagers in serious trouble? Later in the week, Joel decides to confront the entire group of teenagers while they are gathered at the gaming grounds. Jean and Priya Nandrahat learn that all the youngsters are together and, concerned about what might happen next, make their way over in an attempt to separate them. When Jean arrives, she reveals to everyone what Lily has told Craig. Before long, another shocking truth emerges, creating fresh divisions within the group and turning the teenagers against each other. Amy eventually returns home and gets into a heated argument with Jack. Later, she confides in Kat, who advises her to try to repair her relationship with her father. However, Craig notices Amy and offers her some support while she is emotional. During their conversation, Amy ends up revealing another secret of her own. It looks set to be another explosive week in Walford, with secrets exposed, accusations flying, and several shocking revelations threatening to tear the teenagers apart. EastEnders airs surprise Mark Fowler exit, but there's a mysterious twist. EastEnders has delivered a surprise departure for Mark Fowler Jr., as his complicated storyline with Lauren Beale takes another dramatic turn. However, viewers can already expect his exit to lead to a major twist. Lauren's husband Peter recently discovered that she had been secretly working with Mark to sell stolen cars, prompting him to throw her out of their home. Although Peter had no idea that Lauren had kissed Mark, he had already begun to suspect that she was hiding something from him. In the previous episode, Lauren ultimately chose to remain with Peter and told Mark that he needed to leave after she made her decision, even though she confessed that she still had feelings for him. During tonight's episode, Mark struggled to deal with Lauren's rejection. His problems intensified when Max confronted him at the Vic over the stolen car operation. Mark retaliated by blaming Max for Lauren becoming involved in the scheme. Max then urged him to leave Walford. "Why don't you do what your dad always does? Leave," he snapped. But Mark made it clear that he had no intention of going anywhere. Later, Mark came across Louis, who was visibly upset by the problems between his parents. Peter soon arrived, causing Louis to storm away. Peter subsequently spoke with Mark, before returning to Lauren and explaining that Mark had claimed he was the one who pushed her into becoming involved in the illegal scheme. Lauren and Peter then talked through their troubled relationship. Lauren made it clear that she wanted the two of them to remain together for the sake of their children and for their own future. But their heartfelt conversation was suddenly interrupted when Mark walked out of the house. By this point, it appeared Mark had made up his mind to leave Walford for good. Sharon and Vicky were both concerned, while Vicky desperately asked him to stay and help her cope with everything happening in her life, particularly the situation involving Joel. Mark refused to change his mind, telling Vicky that nobody needed him and that he preferred things that way. He then climbed into a taxi and left. However, Mark's departure was not quite as final as it first appeared. As the taxi travelled through the square, Mark caught sight of Lauren. The pair exchanged an intense and lingering look, immediately raising questions about whether their complicated relationship had really reached its conclusion. And there is already evidence that Mark's departure from Walford will not be permanent. Mark has been spotted in the New Year's Day 2027 flash-forward, which focuses on Max and is set to contain several major mysteries. So, while Mark may have left the square for now, his story is clearly far from finished. But what will ultimately bring Mark Fowler Jr. back to Walford? And could his return have something to do with Lauren, Peter, or the secrets surrounding the stolen car scheme? Sheila and Gray exposed in EastEnders as Chelsea uncovers their plan, but it's not over. Chelsea Fox believes she has finally managed to keep Sheila Atkins and convicted killer Gray away from her son Jordan in EastEnders. However, she has no idea what the dangerous pair are secretly preparing behind her back. Sheila entered Chelsea's life earlier this year after Libby got in touch, believing the former lawyer could be useful following the incident in which Jordan was accidentally knocked down by Beale. Chelsea was initially reluctant to allow Sheila anywhere near Jordan because of her family connection to Gray. However, Sheila insisted that she had completely cut ties with her grandson and was no longer in contact with the convicted murderer. That reassurance quickly proved to be false. It was later revealed that Sheila had secretly travelled to prison to visit Gray, who was responsible for the deaths of his wife Chantel, as well as Walford residents Tina Carter and Kush Kazemi several years ago. After Ian was imprisoned for his involvement in Jordan's accident, Chelsea, who blamed herself for what happened to her son, decided to fight for him. She launched an appeal and relied on Sheila to help cover the legal costs. EastEnders airs from Monday to Thursday at 7:30 p.m. on BBC One, with episodes available to stream from 6 a.m. on BBC iPlayer.